All right, back with another 10 and L session. And last session was a little bit more eventful. This one I seem to remember not being all that eventful, from what I can remember. It's a few days since I played it. But I guess I wanted to ask if anybody out there would reply. Probably nobody will. Whether 10 and L is always this tight. Like, this session, as far as I can remember, there just were so few hands where people would put a chip in. And I've been playing more 5 and L lately, not because I think 10 and L is unbeatable, but because it was just a fold fest. There's just so there just aren't as many true complete whales just ploughing in stacks, and lots of time there's just hardly any three bets. It's just raise everyone folds, raise everyone folds. This session here, as far as I can remember, there just weren't that many people putting chips in. And if you look at the tables, I tend to mark people in light blue if they have less than 100 big blinds. Not all the time, I don't always remember, but if you look here, most tables, there's either one or none, which means I think 10 and L is very much reg infested. And the regs at the lower stakes, or your micro stakes, do tend to be very tight. So it can make the game's play somewhat dull. I'm wondering if the actual correct approach at 10 and L to take advantage of this is to play much looser. It's just to play, is to open a lot more, three bet. Oh, should you three bet more? Yeah, maybe that is the play. If people are not defending enough, if people are playing too tight, then be more aggressive. I guess that must be the tactic. When I played 10 and L a little bit before for a few thousand hands, it wasn't like this. So that maybe the last few sessions I've played have kind of have been a bit unusual. But it does seem that it's really tough to find people putting any chips in the pot. So far, I've had ace, king, and king, and kings, and even the ace king hand. I three bet pre, completely missed the board, checked it all the way down, and the guy just wouldn't put a chip in with a hand that had no real showdown value. So 10 NL does seem to play differently from 5 NL in that it's it's tighter. 5 NL often is quite tight, but there, you will find some people bluffing. Maybe this is just I don't have a big enough sample yet, but so far I have noticed that 10 and L is quite tight, and my response to it initially has been if you can't, is basically been to join them, just tighten up myself, and I may have tightened up excessively. So I think in this session I didn't have a VPIP of more than about 20%, may have even been lower. That's really low. So yeah, I will play a lot more 10 and L at some stage. But I'm having fun playing 5 and L, and I find when I play 10 and L, it's often a little bit dull. But maybe I'm overreacting to just a couple of sessions because the previous session that I played that I put up on YouTube uh, actually did have some interesting hands in it. So maybe I'm prone to overreacting to very small samples. Anyway, let's have a look here. So King Queen can go either way with this. You can three bet, you can call. I go for the three bet this time. And to go with what I was saying, I think if I've decided that people are really tight, then three betting from the big blind against small blind opens, I should be doing extremely wide. Because if people aren't opening that much and they're three betting tight, imagine how snug the four betting ranges must be. But the session off to a reasonable start due to ace king and kings, so not exactly genius play by me. Played session today on 5 and L. I think I had my biggest stack that I've ever had on the table. I got up to over 800 big blinds on the table. I was hoping that I might be able to get up to 1,000 big blinds, but I've been playing for a long time, and I thought, you know what, don't try and force it. Don't try and make something happen. And it's a shame because I think I could have made it happen because I misplayed a couple of hands where I flopped sets. I On one hand, I overplayed it, played it fast. I played it too fast, and another one I did exactly the opposite, where I slow played where I should have played it fast. Yeah, opening up the threes. This is a borderline open, I think, though. Looking at ranges, I think that under the gun, probably the weakest pair you're supposed to open is fives. But if people are playing tighter, then I think opening any pair becomes fine. Betting into three people, though, this would be a big mistake. This has to be a check. Ace five with, yeah, giving up there is okay with no. I think we have a spade. We can certainly bet, stick around. Also checking with ace high because it has some showdown value. And now just fold both tables. I guess I decided to hang around and have a look on the right. Again, more tightness. We've got ace king. Again, this is going to be a three bet. Perfectly happy to get this in, even when people are playing tight. Ace king blind on blind is a hand you're just happy to get in. Yet again, looking at the tables, it just appears so many more times you've got players playing 100 big blinds plus, which just tends to mean that they're they're a bit better, or at least they're not giving their stacks away. I think a lot of the time the micro stakes, or probably any stakes really, but your chips do come from people just giving their chips away, and people playing just tight aggressive poker. They're not necessarily putting you under a lot of pressure, but they're not giving you that much action or giving you that much money when you have a hand. So yeah, it can all become a bit of a nit fest. Fit a easy fold, I think here with ace four. Don't want to start messing around on that board. I don't know if I folded there with jack eight or whether there was a problem with my computer. I'm not sure. That looked a little bit odd because I think for one big blind there, that would have probably been a call. And we folded the 10-9 off there. Ace eight of spades against a button open. Obviously, I can't see the stats here. I think, yeah, that's got to be pretty borderline. If I think people are playing tight and I myself am also playing tight, I wouldn't mind a three bet there. Use the tight image. It's a playable hand. It's obviously out of position, so it's not a terrible fold, but I wouldn't mind seeing a three bet. I think sometimes I have a tendency when I think I'm trying to play more sensibly of tightening up to the point where it doesn't really become sensible. It just becomes just excessively nitty. So far, though, watching this, I don't think there are any glaring errors. Really haven't been any particular spots as of yet. Queen nine of diamonds. A lot of the time playing 5NL. I have to say I would open this. So yeah, I think this is okay as an open. It's probably one of the weakest hands I would open from this position. And yeah, well, we're going for Or we just goes for a third pot C bet? Yeah, I think it's okay. Now I'm probably just going to give up. I don't know if I want to just keep barreling. You know, this guy does have stuff like 7-8 suited, fives, six, threes, fours. So yeah, we can't realistically. We're not going to want to necessarily bet all the time there, even if we have an overpair. Ace King here, with all that dead money out there, this guy could be looking to pick it up cheap. So I think a four bet does make sense. 25.8. Yep, I think that's fine. And we've got to be four bet uh, and then calling a shove here. Given what we've got in the middle, if this guy's range of shoving here is, even if it's queens plus, we're probably going to have the price to call. Happy with that? Happy with that result? And checking the fives, just trying to show them down, and they're good. But yet again, my opponent, I check back flop, check back turn. He's got ace deuce. You'd think he might believe that that's no good and would try and get me to fold a similar hand or maybe even a small pocket pair, but he doesn't. So yeah, a little surprising by just how timid it all is. And with Queen Seven here, yeah, and now I'm doing it myself. Now he might call with Ace High, but I think there we could afford to bet 1.6, just two-thirds pot, and probably get him to fold Ace High, King High. So I have really taken the tone of 10-L at this point to heart of playing ridiculously tight. Perhaps also one thing that has stood out so far is I haven't had too much in the way of hands, so I'm not opening that many pots because it's just a lot of junk being folded. Really, look at these hands: Jack 7 off, 6-2, 5-9. It's not really nittiness; it's just bad play to open any of this stuff. Ace eight of clubs here. I wouldn't even mind a call on the button. I suspect that I don't. Yeah, I think you can call in position there. You can make your opponent's life difficult post flop a lot. You don't necessarily need to hit. There's going to be lots of flops that they are not necessarily going to like. So I think calling on the button with those sorts of hands is fine. I don't think you have to three bet or fold pre-flop. I think you can have some calls. And Queen 10 here. This seems like a pretty easy check call on the flop. And now that our opponent checks back, seems pretty clear that he will not be checking back very often a hand that beats Queen 10. So we can now go for a bet, try and get value from a jack or something like eights or nines that get stubborn. I kind of wishing that I'd recorded some of the stuff that I played today. There were just so many interesting hands. It feels like when I just remember to record stuff, often the sessions are just not the exciting ones. I think calling there with 9-8, closing the action. I think that's all right. It's cheap 1.2, but just you have to proceed with caution, given that if you catch a pair with a 9 or an 8, it's unlikely to be anything to write home about. And now just a quick easy fold, checking down the Jack 5 and losing. Ace 9 of hearts, I think in position, is that 8.6? Yeah, it's again, again a little nitty, but it's sort of the theory I've got there that if everyone else is nitty, it means they're three betting tighter, which means that stuff like ace nine suited is not really a hand you want to call with because it looks pretty, but really you'd rather if I had 5-6 suited there, I think it's a definite call. Ace nine suited, what do you do on a nine high board? What do you do when you hit an ace? It can become very awkward to play. So yeah, I don't hate that fold, but I do think it's a bit tight. I would think that the ace five of hearts here closing the action is a definite call. I'm hoping by the end of this video, I'm sure there was at least one hand in here that was where the pot was above about 12 big blinds or whatever the highest pot's been so far. Yeah, a small bet here with the ace five. I don't know about this. I guess we're charging the people that have diamonds. It's just people could be slow playing on the flop. If we do get called, now we have an easy. We're often going to get called when we're losing. 3.3. Well, I mean, look, for that price, he's bet less than a quarter of the pot. I think we have to call, but yeah, it doesn't feel when someone bets that small, you kind of have to call. But when they bet that small, they have many bluffs for that size. So far, I think that might be the biggest pot of the session. I don't actually mind calling with the sevens. I don't think you always have to three bet. I think from the small blind, these kind of pocket pairs, it is okay to call. And on this board, you can just check fold. You're not obviously hitting a seven is what we want, but we're going to continue on boards that more boards than just those that have a seven on them. And we go for another bet here with the Jack 10. I suppose we're banking on him having spades or hand like 6-4, just like ace 5, random stuff like that. He does have queen 10 of spades, which he plays passively, so that works out nicely. We do flop a set with the sevens. Nice. On a board that is draw heavy, so we want to be going with a big bet here. We go a little bit bigger. Big. There we go, a bit bigger, yep. 9.9, like it. And a safe river. Of course, we'd prefer the board to pair, but the way the guy's playing, he probably doesn't have a straight. So yeah, I guess again we can go fairly big. I think 2/3 pot, a little bit more is fine. Get a quick fold. More garbage, unfortunately. And know that there is one hand coming up. I believe it was Queen 10. I remember it a bit. And shows you how poor my memory is because it's only about 3 or 4 days ago I played this session. Yeah, certainly going to be calling here with ace-8 suited. Definitely against 2.2x. It's just certainly a defend in the big blind. Checking, trying it to showdown. Ace-high has some showdown value, but probably not a lot. Excuse me. And again, more tight conservative play. I really took that to heart. I think previously my view has been that I've dribbled chips away sometimes, just making loose calls, just kind of dribbling big blinds away here and there. I'm just trying to cut some of that out and not play sloppy. Queen 10 of diamonds here, blind on blind. I think this is the hand I was talking about. This is definitely a call. I think we want to defend here. This is easily strong enough. Nice pretty hand and nice pretty flop. Pair and a flush draw, so I would be looking to, I think I'm looking to check raise here. I think this is a hand that we can get in the check raising range. We don't get the chance. We go for a double check. Okay, don't mind that. And he gets 2/3 out. And I think we just want to play this passively. I think we want to check here and then check the river. Just if he is bluffing, just give him a chance, give him a bit of room. And that was disappointing because I tell you what he had. I can remember he had ace queen, and he may well have that may well have been a really bad river because he could have blasted on. Maybe I'm kidding myself, but he could have blasted on like nothing rivers, and I thought he might even value bet that. Like he hits the queen, a small bet on the river. You know he can still get value from a jack, queen 9, queen 8, king queen. I was a little surprised that he didn't go for a bet there when I ended up seeing his hand. Uh, I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed because I was lining up a check raise there, and I was of course I was hoping when the queen hit that he had ace king. But alas, he did not. I've got a 3-bet spot here with the ace queen on the left. So these sessions show, I think, what sessions are mostly like. They're not always action packed. But the positive is it was at least a winning session. It was only about £300 or so, but winning $5.81. So a little bit more than half a buy-in. Hope you enjoyed it, and I promise there'll be some more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.